Hi, I'm Madison Hammond. I play for Angel City FC, and this is Grassroots to Glory. I first started playing soccer when I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I started playing soccer with boys. And it was just like a little league team. We were called the Young Lions. That was when kind of my passion for soccer kind of was ignited. I really liked playing with boys, and I just remember having so much fun competing. I knew I wasn't as good as them because they were just like a little bit faster than me, but I was always really smart, and eventually I started catching up to them, and it was always just really fun to always have that level of competition with them. No one was like playing soccer in my family. My uncle had played soccer growing up, but he had grown into becoming a professional golfer. My sister played volleyball and ran track. So everyone was always competing in my family, but nobody really knew soccer that well. And so it kind of was like a blank slate journey for me.
So was that kind of the moment that you were like, maybe I could do this for real?
I don't really know when that moment came. I feel like every time I've gotten to the next level, I've just wanted to become the best at whatever stage I'm at. When I was in high school and got my first recruitment letter for a college team, like I hadn't really been thinking about playing college soccer seriously, but then that just felt like the next natural step. So it was like, okay, I need to do everything I can to put myself in a position to get to where I want to go. So then I eventually did get recruited, and then I went to Wake Forest and played there for 4 seasons and was a captain and made all ACC second team and stuff like that. So like, again, I achieved the best possible thing that I could have out of that situation. But then again, it was like, as I started approaching college and I was in my second and third year, and I was like, wait, so you're telling me like I get to the end of year 4 and then I'm just like done playing soccer? Like that's crazy. Which I think is something that's different from like European players to here in the US, where like you go through the college system and like that was how you made it to the next level. So I probably considered pursuing a professional career like after my first year in college, just like realizing what my ceiling was, and then I hadn't even gotten close to touching it. I like kind of set myself up that way to just like go after it at that point.
Are there any sort of obstacles that you faced along the way to get to where you are?
Yeah, definitely. I've had lots of obstacles. I think they've come in like different stages of my life, and they've also looked very different. I look back on just like my life as a person and like what it kind of took for me to achieve excellence at the highest level, and it required like a lot of sacrifice from my mom, from my family, from myself, and just like, okay, if you want to go to the best college, like you might need to skip homecoming, or you might need to skip, you know, this social event. And like those seem so small when you're 14 and 15 years old, but like they really do create like this level of commitment and loyalty to the game that all of us have to demonstrate at different points. And so like there's those kind of obstacles that you go through as just like being a person. And then just kind of like the challenges of being a pro, like showing up every single day and being a pro is one of the hardest things. So much of it is physical and, you know, always like physiologically being on and feeling good and making sure you're prepped. But also I've learned so much in the last 4 years as being a pro. So much of it is mental, and having confidence and having stability in yourself and being able to back yourself is probably the hardest thing, but also the most important thing for anybody who wants to make it in this sport. My introduction to NWSL was very weird because it was during the COVID year. It was just a perfect storm for me. I was called into camp at Seattle, and because I went undrafted, I go into camp and it's kind of like, okay, you're just gonna like try out and see what happens. But then COVID actually hit and everyone had to go home and the world shut down. And so there was just this level of ambiguity and just like not knowing what was gonna happen and just having to kind of stay ready in some weird way. I just didn't know really what to do. I was just like sneaking onto fields at home and like had one bag of balls that were like a hodgepodge bag of balls like that we had collected over a couple of weeks, and just like a small group of us, we just stayed sane by just training. After COVID kind of died down a little bit, they said that we were gonna have like a tournament, and so I was called back in for Seattle's camp, and then 3 weeks later I was offered a contract. And I went through the adjustment period of just like not playing, you know, really learning, and then I was able to play a couple of games that fall. So I call 2020 like my orientation year, and then 2021 was my first real season. And I just would say that like my introduction to the NWSL was just so like, is this real? because then it suddenly evolved from me just like trying to make it as a professional athlete to then I got an interview request and I was like, why am I getting an interview request? I've played one game. I was being told that I was the first Native American to play in the NWSL. And I was like, what do you mean? I think in that moment, it just like totally changed the trajectory of what my journey was gonna look like. Wow, I have so much more of responsibility and an opportunity to really impact people's lives. And in the moment, it was like really freaky and scary, and I was like, I don't even know what to do. I'm just trying to like make it on the field. And so the first game when I did make it on the field, I was just like hopped up on so much adrenaline and just felt so many different emotions. I look back on it now and I'm just like, oh, you're so little. You didn't know anything. You didn't know anything about that was about to hit you. I'll never forget it. And I think it's just only helped me up until this point. I didn't have people that looked like me. I barely had female athlete role models growing up. Not because they weren't out there, but because they weren't on my TV screens. Social media didn't exist. Like, if you knew about the US Women's National Team, you probably had them as role models, but I wasn't even really tapped in to the US Women's National Team. I was looking up to like Ronaldinho and Carlos Puyol and Sergio Busquets, and like, those were my people that I looked up to. But then to now have this opportunity to be someone's role model, and I don't even feel like I've gotten close to what level of caliber of a player that I want to be. It's like really exciting because it's like I have so much of an opportunity to change somebody's whole trajectory in their sport.
So what is it that you want to get out of this season the most?
Up until this point, my career has just been so up and down. Being able to kind of build a foundation of just confidence. There's one thing to just like say to yourself, I'm good enough to be here, and truly believing it and buying into yourself every single day. And so I think that's something I have both struggled with and also grown a lot in probably the last year. So now I just kind of want to take that foundation, just go out and be the player that I know I can be. And if I do that, I just know that not much is gonna stop me in this league. I would be really proud of myself because it's been tough. Like as a team, we haven't gotten a lot of wins in the last couple of games, and that is really hard to bounce back from and to not, look down on, but we have such a good group that we have continued to lean on each other and grow with each other together. But on the flip side, as an individual, I'm like, I still want to look back on the end of the season and be like, I'm so proud of what I did on the field this year. For me, that's making it into the starting lineup. I would love to score a goal this year. That would be incredible. And to just be somebody that's like, I know every single day that Mads is going to show up and give 100% and just be consistent.